Hey everyone, welcome to Wealth Redefined. I'm your host, Michael Reynolds, certified financial planner and owner of Elevation Financial. I'm on the web at elevationfinancial.com. You're welcome to reach out there anytime. Today, how to build wealth in every stage of life. I'd like to walk through some tips and some guidelines, things to think about through different decades of life, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I like this because, first of all, I work with lots of people in different stages of life. And I often get asked questions like, hey, at this point in my life, where should I be? Or what are some things I should be thinking about? Or what's important financially to build wealth in this particular stage of life? And so I'd like to walk through those different decades and different periods of life and talk through some important things to think about, just some guidelines to help shape the thought process and conversation around what's important at various stages of life when it comes to building wealth. So, first, remember, I want to kind of start off by saying, the journey to wealth building or securing a financial future is a marathon, not a sprint. We're not looking for quick fixes here. We're looking for, dedication, strategic planning, time, perseverance. And these are not one size fits all, as always. This is not specific advice. This is just a general educational overview of some things to think about. So for specific advice, talk to your financial advisor, whatever professional is helping you, tailor things to your situation. And some things are universal. We're going to talk about some things that are pretty universal, spend less, save more, avoid debt. Some things are pretty much applicable for the most part, anywhere, anytime. But, also not everyone's on the same journey. There are some people in their 20s that are, doing lots of things to set up their financial future well. And there are some people in their 40s or 50s who are maybe kind of starting over, or maybe you feel like they're behind. But I want to stress that no matter where you are in life, there's always a way to improve. There's always a way to optimize, to get better. Starting where you are now is the best time to make improvements if you feel like there's improvements to be made in your financial habits and your financial plan overall. So let's jump in and get started with the 20s. So in your 20s, this is kind of, getting started in life. You're launching careers, you're transitioning from school to the workforce, you're gaining a sense of financial independence. You're maybe doing traveling, you're, meeting new people. Also some challenges in your 20s. There's pressure to, maybe, pay off student loans if you have any, navigating the job market, lots of new responsibilities in adulthood, time of uncertainty. You're choosing things like careers and where to live, or, starting a family. Those things can have long-term impact on your path in the future and your financial future. So a lot of uncertainty as well. It's you're facing the realities of paying bills and budgeting and saving money and managing your finances, which you've never had to really do to that level before, perhaps. So there are some habits that can be helpful when you're thinking through money in your 20s. One of them is start saving early. If you talk to someone who's older, let's say in their 50s or more, and you ask them, hey, what's something I should be doing with my investments right now? And they'll probably say, start saving now as much as you can, because you have time on your side at this point. The sooner you start saving and investing, the more time your money has to grow. This takes advantage of compound interest, where you earn interest on the money you saved and compounding on that growth as well. So if you get a head start on investing in your 20s, it can be game changing for your future self. So whatever you can start with, start investing now in things like retirement accounts, investment accounts. Again, that can be game changing for your future self. Even a small amount is helpful. And you can be more aggressive typically. Now, again, not a one size fits all. Different situations call for different types of investing. But investing early and investing aggressively can often make a lot of sense for people in the 20s because of that time horizon. Also, create a budget. Understand where your money's going. Make a plan to budget it. Getting good at budgeting in this stage of life will pay off big time throughout your life. Track your income, track your expenses, see where you can cut back and save more. There are lots of budgeting apps to help you with this. And this is probably as simple as life is going to get. So when life is simpler in your 20s, it's a really good time to start getting in the habit of budgeting, because when you're in your 40s and there's a lot more going on, that habit and that skill is only going to help you. Also, maybe develop a habit of frugality, be mindful of spending habits. Now, I'm not saying like don't enjoy life, definitely enjoy life, but get in the habit of thinking through, do you need this newest electronic thing or gadget, or do you need this new, completely loaded new truck, or can you put that money to use somewhere else and spend a bit more modestly so you can invest in your future? Kind of get in the habit of being mindful about your spending now, because that mindfulness will become a habit and help you later as you get older, when it's harder sometimes to avoid some of that spending. Look for ways to increase your income. The earlier you can increase your income in your 20s, the better, because that's more you can put toward investing. So, work on your education, get a new skill, get new certifications in your career, maybe even start a business. When life is simple and you don't have the same responsibilities you might have in your 40s, might be a good time to start a side hustle. So think through ways to increase your income as much as possible early on, and that'll give you a great head start. Next, avoid debt. If you have student loans or credit cards, make a plan to pay that off as quickly as possible, especially high interest debts. Avoiding debt and paying off debt as quickly as possible is going to be a huge strength going forward. Also, build an emergency fund. Get that emergency fund established as quickly as possible. 3 to 6 months of expenses is kind of a starting point as a rule of thumb. That safety net will help you avoid debt as well. Automate your savings process. If you automatically deposit your money into savings or investment accounts automatically every month, by just setting that up on autopilot with your bank or investment account, can make it much easier to make investing and savings a habit. Also, make sure your insurance is up to date and current. Health insurance, make sure you have that in place. Renters, homeowners insurance, car insurance, make sure everything is in place. Life insurance, if you need it, disability insurance. Insurance is meant to protect you against loss. So having the right insurance in place will help stabilize and secure your foundation so that you don't go into debt for some sort of unforeseen issue. Build your network. The 20s is a great time to build your network. This is not necessarily financially related directly, but building relationships and networking with other business professionals, other career professionals, just people that you respect and want mentorship from, can really, really pay off long term, because then you have a network available when you're looking for a job or looking for advice or looking for support. Investing in your network can be massively beneficial. Last on my list today is don't buy a house too soon in your 20s. Now, again, if it makes sense, go for it. Like, I'm not saying it's a one size fits all. So if you're in a financial position to buy a house, then go for it. But many individuals and families in their 20s rush into buying a home because they're eager to build equity, and they might feel pressure to achieve this cultural milestone that's set up for us. We're supposed to buy a house, right? That's the American dream. So, when the time is right, buying a home can be a great move, but rushing into it without a strong financial foundation can cause strain and can cause stress. So you've got plenty of time to buy a house when you're in a strong position to do so. So don't rush it. So that's the 20s. Building a wealth, again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's about consistency, patience, making good informed decisions over a long period of time. So starting in your 20s can be a great foundation. So let's go on to how to build wealth in your 30s. So the 30s, usually people are kind of settling down, establishing deeper roots. They're growing in their careers, kind of looking for advancement and promotions, deepening commitments to, partners, spouses, getting married, purchasing homes, lots of stuff happening, maybe having children, if that's on the agenda. Life in the 30s comes with unique challenges, lots of increased expenses, mortgages, raising children, caring for aging parents sometimes. Work-life balance gets more complicated. You're juggling demands of a career that's advancing along with family commitments. So, it's also a time when people start thinking about their future more. So some of the things in your 20s also apply in your 30s, but let's jump in and talk about things in your 30s that can help you build wealth. First, maximize your retirement contributions. By your 30s, you really want to be maximizing contributions to your retirement accounts. Now, maximizing doesn't necessarily mean maxing out, but put as much as possible in, really kind of get that to a high level if possible. Some people recommend between 10 and 20% of your income into your retirement accounts. That's a good rule of thumb to think about to start from. Also, pay down high interest debt. If you have high interest debt, like credit card debt, for example, pay that off as quickly as possible. That's just eating away at your income. That can impact your ability to invest and save. So try to get rid of high interest debt as quickly as possible. At this point, buying a home could make sense. Consider buying a home. Maybe in your 30s, if you have a strong foundation, you're in a financial position to do so. Buying a home for many people can be a great move. You're building equity, and that's strengthening your financial foundation. So if the time is right, if the foundation is there, if you've got the financial security to do it, buying a home can be a great way to build equity and strengthen your position. Advance your career, keep working in your career, get more certifications, look for ways for promotions, maybe look for new jobs that you can increase your income by advancing to higher positions. Also, setting goals. Setting goals is, kind of a whole conversation itself. It can be challenging, but it's a good time to really think about, what goals do you have for, buying a new home, maybe setting aside money for children's, college or education, maybe planning for early retirement. Work on some of those goals and really map out what's important to you. Also, look at your investments. Start to kind of really pay attention to monitoring your investments. Make sure that they are aligned properly with your, financial goals. Review them on a regular basis. Make sure that they're aligned with your values as well. Also, think about insurance and estate planning more heavily. Things like life insurance becomes really important in your 30s, especially if you get married and have children, have a long-term partner, have dependents. Life insurance becomes really important at that time. Estate documents. Also, you might want to be thinking about, we hope we live for a long time, but anything could happen. And having an estate plan set up can really give you peace of mind. What happens if you pass away? What happens if you and your partner pass away? Do you have a plan for taking care of dependents, children, loved ones? What's going to happen? So having an estate plan can really help you kind of pin that down, have peace of mind, and show love to those left behind as well. Also, in your 30s, start teaching your children about money. If they, when they reach a certain age where they can understand this stuff, start teaching them good money habits, because that's going to pay off later. If they don't have, if they have money habits that are strong, that are helping them succeed later on, that's going to avoid you having to support them later on. So it's going to help you financially as well. So teach your children good money habits. And also, not money related specifically, but maintain a healthy lifestyle. Try to keep healthcare costs down by taking care of yourself. Eat well, get exercise, the usual stuff. All right, how to build wealth in your 40s. So this is where you've got a lot more stability sometimes. Career is kind of at a strong foundational point. You've got maybe some advancements under your belt, maybe looking for more. You can, your children are growing if you have children. Your relationships are kind of deepening sometimes. Maybe hobbies and passions you're exploring more. So some things that can help you in your 40s to build wealth are, again, maximize retirement contributions. You'll see a theme here. Keep that going. Maximize retirement contributions, whether it's your work or your own business plan or your own personal accounts, IRAs, Roth IRAs, whatever it might be. Try to maximize that as much as possible. Your future self will thank you. Also, evaluate your investments. Make sure your time horizon is appropriate. Are you too aggressive? Are you aggressive enough? Is it appropriate for your future goals? Work on that high interest debt. Same thing here. Try and get that knocked out. Make sure your emergency fund is solid. Same thing. Plan for children's future. If you have kids, make sure you're really working on that, because in your 40s, probably college for some of our kids might be right around the corner. Make sure you've got a plan for that. You might also consider investing in real estate, whether it's your own home, whether it's saving up for a down payment on maybe an investment property. Real estate can be a good diversification for investing. So it's not right for everybody. I'm not personally a huge fan of real estate. It's not as passive as people think it is, but if you go into it with your eyes open, with the right expectations, it can be a nice supplement. Maintain your health. Keep making sure you maintain a healthy lifestyle, keep costs down that way. Insurance. Again, a lot of this stuff is still the same in the 40s. Make sure your life insurance is appropriate. Make sure your disability insurance is appropriate. Health insurance, estate plan. All these things become even more important. 40s is still, every age is young to some extent, depending on your mindset. But 40s is still young. You've got lots of time ahead of you. But this is also when health issues sometimes creep up. We have health issues that can surface in their 40s that can sometimes be life-threatening or cause disability. So make sure you have coverage when it comes to insurance in your estate plan for the rare and hopefully, hopefully never occurring, but does sometimes occur events like health and passing. All right, what about your 50s? We're going to end with the 50s. So this is kind of when have had a lot of experience, your career, you've got a lot of a long track record in your career. Maybe you've been running a business for a while. You've got a lot of reflections happening as well, kind of thinking about the future, what's next. You've got aging parents to think about sometimes. So a lot going on in your 50s. You guessed it, maximize retirement contributions. Step it up if nothing else. When you're over 50, you're eligible to make catch-up contributions to your retirement accounts. And that means you can contribute more than the standard limit. So figure out what those are depending on what year it is. They change typically every year. So find out what those limits are. And if possible, try to take advantage of those catch-up contributions. That's why they're there, so that you can catch up, so to speak, if you feel like you're behind and make more contributions. Also, same thing, pay off that debt, get rid of high interest debt, trying to go into retirement debt free or, reduce debt as much as possible. Also reassess your investments, make sure that they are appropriate for your time horizon. Some people might still be aggressive in their 50s. Others might say, you know what, I'm going to back down my investments to be a bit more conservative. I want to preserve more and make sure that the stability is locked in there. Also, start to plan for healthcare costs. Maybe consider maximizing your HSA. Get ready for expanding healthcare costs that may be rising as you get older. Also, a good time to consider downsizing. Maybe if your kids have moved out, maybe they're at college, you might consider downsizing your home. You don't need all this space anymore. You could save some money by downsizing your home, still have a great home that fits your current life needs, and could really give you a boost when it comes to financial foundation. As always, review your estate plan. Again, we're getting older, stuff happens. It could be health issues, it could be accidents, it could be anything. Again, we hope we live a long, healthy life, but things happen. So make sure your estate plan is up to date, review it. Make sure your will, your power of attorney, healthcare directives, trusts, make sure they're all up to date and the proper beneficiaries are assigned and your healthcare wishes are also outlined properly. You still want to maintain an emergency fund. It's important, especially in your 50s, because stuff might happen, unexpected expenses, health issues. And then also think about your career options. Maybe you want to work longer. Maybe you don't want to work longer, and maybe you want to start a business instead, or maybe you want to have a combination of things. So kind of think through what makes the most sense for you, and even think about maybe partial employment. Maybe it's not a full-fledged retirement. Maybe it's kind of scale back at a certain age and work part-time, or start a side business that you're spending a little bit of time on, so that you supplement your retirement income with employment income or business income. So retirement used to be pretty cookie cutter. It's like you clock out at 65 and get your pension, and that's not so much the case anymore. There's lots of hybrid ways to plan for financial independence or retirement or financial freedom. And so thinking through what that means for you can be really useful in your 50s. And again, remember, it's never too late to improve your financial situation. If you're behind on savings, take steps now. That can make a significant difference. So throughout your life, ultimately, as we kind of wrap up, every decade has unique opportunities, unique challenges, unique considerations. Every age has milestones and potential hurdles. So you want to adapt. Make sure you adapt, pivot as you move through life. Aligning your strategies with your needs at the time. The fundamental principles, though, remain fairly consistent. Save consistently, invest wisely, plan for your future. There's different opportunities at different stages in life, but a lot of these fundamentals are the same. So ultimately, I want to stress again that it's never too early or too late to start making improvements. And everyone's in a different situation. Some people are probably listening to this in their 40s and 50s saying, oh, wow, I didn't do any of this stuff before, and now I feel like I'm so behind. I'm feeling disheartened. No, I work with people in their 50s and 60s that are ready to make change. They're ready to say, you know what, yeah, I do have a little bit of regret for not making better decisions earlier, but we're not going to pass judgment. We're going to let go of that. And we're going to create a judgment-free zone where we're ready to make change for the future. And we're going to be optimistic about our financial future. So it's never too late. I encourage you to think about that wherever you are. So, think about that. If you see yourself in any of these decades of life, think through what those guidelines are, what those potential things to think about are as you build wealth, and every small step counts toward building your financial future. So the best time to start is now. So I hope that's a little bit encouraging. So with that, as always, feel free to reach out. My website is elevationfinancial.com. You can find me there. You can book a meeting right there on my website. It's pretty easy. Or you can just send me a note or find me on social media. I'm on pretty much all the social media places. Reach out wherever you find me. Happy to answer questions. So with that, thanks for listening as always. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.